I've always been interested in alternative healing, different ways of doing things that are more rooted in the feelings of connection than they are in a prescribed way of being. And so herbalism, Norse shamanism, energetic healing, all of that sort of stacked on top of each other to then lead me to this realization that I want to actually do that with people who are at the end of their lives. So supporting people in this very practical, logistical way, but also in a very energetic, loving presence kind of way. I work in end-of-life care because for me it's truly a deep spiritual calling. That might sound cliche, but it's the truth. It has been revealed to me in bits and pieces throughout my life, that looking back on it, I can see was always sort of these guideposts to where I was heading. So whether that was having a different perspective on death than the people around me, or just noticing my reactions at a funeral felt different from other people's. Certainly still sad, but also feeling like it was more of a threshold than a finite ending. That doesn't speak to any particular religion, but just that there is something beyond all of this.
I do direct care because I might be asked a question I don't know. When will I die? What's it like to be dead? And I love that I don't know anything about either one of those. How long will it take? I don't know. So I do direct care so I can remain in the mystery and what will be a miracle, in my judgment, of a miracle of that person's last days. I might be able to provide I can actually provide a wish that someone wants before they die. I can be part of a love that someone's never felt. And they feel it here in a way that they don't feel it elsewhere. I feel it here in a way I don't feel it elsewhere. So it's a collective. We all know when we feel love, but it's the way in which the intensity and the intimacy and safety and purity of that love exist here.
I have learned with this work to be presence, and not present, but presence. These people are my teachers. These people going through whatever level of transformation they're going through, if I can allow myself to be quiet and meet them, regulate my energy, be safe within myself. It starts from here. It starts from the heart. And if I can, and I do, drop into my heart, come in, read the field, regulate my energy so I can meet them, meet exactly where they are in that moment. That's what I show up for. That's what I practice. That's what my intention is. And it's only been recently that I've dropped into that to a level that I have been yearning for.
Death has always been a part of my life. As a child, my father was an oncologist, and so I remember at dinner at night we would talk about some of his patients that he had either lost or was losing. And I remember early in the morning he would sit and read the paper, and he always read the obituaries, and at times he would tell stories about the people that he was reading about. And then when I was 9, my dear friend and cousin died. He was 6, and his name was David, and he had leukemia. And when David was approaching the end of his life, whenever they would ask him what he wanted to do, because when he wasn't in the midst of the suffering that he was going through, he would get to make choices about how he wanted to spend his time, and inevitably David would want to come and see me, and so he was very close. I've always had this sense that knowing death and knowing people who pass, it really brings an intimacy to life and a sense that the choices that we make and the way we live, it matters.
Bedside care is a call to me because I'm a lover of liminal spaces. And it's in those moments that you can be incredibly tender, that you can open your own heart to the humanity of another person, that you can open your heart to your own grief in ways that are not allowed out in the world, and that you can love fully and unconditionally. One of the things that has happened for me as a caregiver here at CCLD is that I am very present to what is for the resident that I'm caring for, and what their wants and desires and needs and their control, what they can have control over and what they can have autonomy with, has drastically changed. And I would say that actually I provide less care and more presence, less intervention and more witnessing than I ever did when I was working in healthcare, in memory care, in home health care.
Being around people at the end of their life has been one of the greatest blessings to my life. But I wouldn't probably have felt the deep impact of it necessarily if I hadn't experienced what I did with my mother. Getting to be bedside and journey with others at end of life. And it's so different for each person, and yet there's a thread that connects everyone around the letting go and what can be laid down. So if anything I've learned from death is how we can live more fully and more consciously to prepare for that time, whenever it is, since we don't know.
I chose to become a bedside caregiver volunteer really because there is something so magical and so honoring about being with somebody at the end of their life. That time is so intimate and vulnerable, and to me it feels like such a profound honor that somebody would be willing for me to be there for them at that time and to witness them and to just really support and love them at that time. I really feel that every time I'm in the suites. It's just this profound sense of just witnessing and then honoring, and what an honor it is to me to be able to do that.
And I was the founder of the Atlanta Interfaith AIDS Network, height of the AIDS crisis. And so my work has always been closely with those who are dying. I mean, often I think people think, well, why do you want to work so closely around death, you know? And the answer is because it's life-giving. It has opened up my spiritual life, given me a broader, deeper, meaningful path as to how I lead my life. When people who are dying have the opportunity to share their struggles and their fears and their memories and the goodness of their life, and to walk that walk with them, it is spiritual. It's gratifying. It has deepened my own life beyond words.
I enjoy being a direct care volunteer because it's there are expansion experiences throughout our lives, right? Birth, hopefully, the Eros phase of being in love with someone, and death, or the death process, or being with the dying, is also an expansion. It's an expansion phase of our existence that I think I'm always looking for those expansion experiences, and they're always so full of, and I've experienced that here, community, supporting each other. People are so much more authentic because the mundane of, politics or whatever, it just loses focus, right? It loses in value and importance in that moment. Like, this surpasses all of that.
The key of being a death doula for me is being present with somebody in the way that they need and they want, and sometimes they may not even know what that is. But I've learned more about being quiet than about any doing.
I do bedside work because it puts me in touch with a tender part of me that I don't always get to be in touch with in my day-to-day life. And I do bedside care because that part of me feels like the most natural at-home place. And that's the part of me that I do want to bring out into the world more. That's who I really am. And I feel like this work is a lot of uncovering and discovering and remembering something that's super, super deep and also just universal. It's a beautiful place. It's so perfect in that we have this home, this literal house that we practice in. And we're walking these beautiful souls home. And we're walking each other home. And it's just, it's the clearest reflection I've found of what's beautiful in me and what's beautiful in everyone that I see.
I am here because of a fabulous woman named Dorothy Mae Gardner Kelly, who happens to be my mother. She passed at the age of 92, and she taught me not only so much about life, but she taught me how to die. How to die well, with grace, beauty, but most importantly, with love. So much love. This season of my life is so complete and so fulfilling. I get so much from the beauty of meeting these beautiful souls that are here and trust us enough to share their journey, their last journey with us. It's an amazing gift.
While I was holding vigil, I got an email from the Center for Conscious Living and Dying saying that there was a conscious dying workshop, and I felt like I was given like a divine assignment, like go to that workshop, find out what this place is. And when I just felt like I was given like a divine assignment, like go to that workshop, find out what this place is. And when I discovered that it's this beautiful sanctuary and people come here to be loved, to be served, that's why I'm here. I'm here because I truly feel like this is my sole service at this time in my life.
I do bedside care because I am a retired nurse practitioner, and I practice in the field of oncology and palliative care and hospice and chronic disease management. I'm also a naturopath, specializing in herbal medicine and aromatherapy. So I feel like doing direct care, I get to use all my skill sets and all my talents in helping people to do it their way and have options. CCLD has collected the most spiritual, holistic, loving, caring volunteers in which to help the residents with their journey in passing. And this magic has been created by these wonderful volunteers who believe in the philosophy of being in a loving, caring environment where they normally would not have that if they were passing in a hospital or in a hospice center.
I was specifically drawn to doing direct care because I strongly believe that residents and their families should have the best option and support and companionship as they go through this dying and death process. I've been surprised at just the depth of the relationships that are formed with the residents, with their families, with their community, and with other CCLD volunteers. It's such a gift to walk on this journey with all of those people.
I have had a deep calling to be at the bedside with those who are dying for probably 20 years, and I put it up on a shelf. I put it away because I didn't yet have a place to do it, to do this work. There wasn't a place that I knew of that existed that was holding people who are dying in a place of love and being with them from the heart, with the heart, from a place of love. And this is exactly the place I had been looking for. These are the people, this is the community, these are the residents who come here to have open hearts, to be with one another as we explore and experience this mystery together. What a gift.
Doing direct care is like a pilgrimage. If you've ever been on a pilgrimage, each turn in the direct care space with a particular person that's in their last weeks is a pilgrimage for all of us, for them, for me, for the people I do a turn with. It's just so nice to not be focused on myself. It's really, really nice for me, actually. And to be focused on someone else. And it's, wow, it's someone that's doing their work, their ultimate work. For me, what I get is I get a beautiful being and a beautiful space for my heart to just crack wide open. And that's what they give me. And it just happens, you know. And I'm not talking about the human heart. I'm talking about that higher heart we have. It feels like my human heart is just simply in its wake, feeling grounded and peaceful. And there's something in me that just expands into the space, like it's me in love.
I am a sole survivor of an accident when I was 14. And I saw dead bodies, and I also experienced the loss of them. They were relatives and my mother. I've been able to serve here in direct care. It has immeasurably contributed to my consciousness in my life. Just as in Buddhism, you know, living with the reality of death and life is a consciousness.
There's good work happening, and good work is good for everybody. It's good for me, it's good for my community, you know, it's good for the individuals I serve, but it's much bigger than that, and I think it's the big thing that draws me and that doesn't really have language as much as, you know, I do it because in my work before I retired, I was a counselor, and I worked like with HIV and AIDS, and that was like one of the most transforming things in my life, you know, getting to know those folks as they went through that.
I've chosen to do a bedside care here at CCLD because I really feel like every human being ought to have the opportunity to die surrounded by love. And I was fortunate enough as a young adult to support my father's transition. And it was a life-changing experience for me. And I knew at some point in my life there'd be a time and a place for me to be doing the kind of work of supporting that transition for other people.
I have a lot of passion for raising consciousness, and I facilitated conscious aging for many years through the Institute of Noetic Sciences to help people talk about and discover the fear they had of getting older and dying. And that was very rewarding, and then it stopped when COVID came. And then my own husband was declining from prostate cancer, and I cared for him until he died. And that was truly a blessing to have been with him. And that was probably my most up and close personal experience. I have experienced it, I've seen it, I've been with it, and I have lived through all the permutations of getting ready for and experiencing. So I want to help other people continue with the same. That's all.
When I was in college, I took a course entitled On Death and Dying, and it blew me away. I was 21 years old, and it made me want to spend time with people in their last days. I went through the hospice training, and then I moved, and I never followed up on it. I've been called to do this work for a long time. Every time I show up for a turn, I walk down those steps, I stand in front of that altar, I empty, I surrender, I let go. That is my intention. And let whatever's going to happen, happen. With no agenda, no mind, just coming from here. And it is amazing. It is really working on me. It is my work on myself.